Hey, welcome back to the Hub channel. My name is Brandon Burton, and we have a great show planned for you today with so much going on in the market and so much happening right now, even though it is Thanksgiving week, obviously. We're going to be going over the Delta neutral pass trades. Obviously, we have a couple of those to cover, and Jeff has been crushing it, and I'll bring Jeff on here in just a second. We have some headlines that we're going to go over, the market update, along with a trade that we're looking at for this next couple of weeks here. So let's bring Jeff in here. And if you guys don't know Jeff, he is a professional money manager and senior strategist over at the EWO channel. Jeff is our high Ganache guy. I say that wrong every time, but that's okay. Jeff, what is going on? How have you been? And have you been watching the market? What's happening right now? Holy cow, a lot going on in the market right now.
Oh, there is every week. I mean, it seems like we're not even quieting down, and it's Thanksgiving week. So that's that's why it's such an exciting time right now.
Yeah, I think so. And I don't know if you watched this too. Sam Altman got fired from his AI company that he started, and he's not going to be there anymore. Microsoft scooped him up yesterday over the weekend. It was a crazy weekend in the AI world. So a lot going on over there. Coinbase said they lost $70 billion in value just by doing that one move. And they may be right, because now over 600 employees are threatening to leave the AI company and go over to Microsoft. There's just so much happening in that space. And I don't know how much of an effect that's going to have on the world, on Microsoft, what's going on right now. Obviously, it's up today because of the news. But what happened with your trade last week? You did Bath and Body Works. How is that looking? How did that turn out? And did you make money? There's no way you made money again, but obviously tell us what happened with the trade.
Well, we did. We had another successful trade. The thing about Bath and Body Works is that because of two things happening: one, the stock moving, and number two, implied volatility increasing going into earnings, we were once again able to take this trade off the day of earnings prior to the earnings announcement. So the earnings were after market close. During the day, we were able to close this trade out, as you can see, at a very nice profit, over 26%. And that's literally 2 weeks in a row. Last week, we made over 25%. This week, a little over 26%. But both of those trades were closed out prior to the stock moving, prior to the earnings announcement. And good thing that we did take that off, because the move in the stock was less than expected, and that could have caused some problems had we stayed in the trade. But Brandon, another winner for us, taking that trade off right before the earnings announcement at a very nice little profit.
And I like those trades too, where you can do that right before an earnings announcement. You can pull out with the profit. You don't have to risk holding it over earnings. I know with options, that's really scary and sometimes nerve-wracking, and the anxiety really isn't worth the benefit that you get on the tail end of that. So just looking ahead, what kind of stuff are you seeing in the market in terms of headlines and the market in general right now?
Well, let's touch on the headlines. We have we're still focused on a couple things. The whole market is interest rates. Number one, rates continue to drop. Okay, which means bonds are going up, but the yield curve continues to widen, and that's not good news for the markets and for the economy. And next, we have we have a series of earnings announcements this week that are critical. I'm going to touch on those in just a moment. Believe it or not, even during the week of Thanksgiving, we have lots of earnings. And finally, what you have already touched on, Microsoft. Pretty much it was a coup getting Sam Altman and all. What was it? Almost all. It was like 600 of 670 or 700 of 770, whatever the number was, of employees were threatening to leave. And if the board does not resign, this is something very, very unusual, but it's really the power of the employees that the board could be left with no company at all if this were to happen. If all those employees were to walk out, there essentially wouldn't be a company. So crazy stuff, Brandon. I mean, just that's probably, as far as stories go, that's the story to watch right now.
This will be a Netflix documentary, mark my words, just because this is, just like you said, very unusual, unprecedented. And if the board doesn't resign, obviously they already have hired the Twitch CEO to step in as interim over at OpenAI.
Yeah.
But what's happening is the employees have a monetary, they have some investors that were going to give them a pretty fat check coming up here in the next couple of weeks that was going to be their bonus. So they're not only are they on the hook financially, but they did love Sam Altman. They loved him as a CEO. So obviously that played into this quite a bit. And I mean,
Microsoft
if we don't
loved him also.
Well, they do love him also. Obviously, they picked him up pretty quickly. They picked up a couple other members of the management team, and they have them over there. I don't know if that's going to stick or not. We'll just have to see what plays out over the next 24. This has happened over the last 72 hours, and this has been kind of crazy fun to watch. But can't wait for the next.
I think it was Salesforce offering jobs to several of the engineers over there. So I mean, it is in the tech world. This is very. The news is still being created there, so it's awfully fun to watch.
Well, their skill set is so rare and so hard to find. Even Elon Musk couldn't find enough people for his XAI team to be able to get some of these guys over there, and he couldn't offer the incentives necessary. So now this might open a window for other competitors. And I don't know if you've seen this or not, but other AI companies are actually thriving today because of this news, because this giant in the market, this giant OpenAI is the biggest player in the market right now, obviously. And with them crumbling, it gives them an advantage to be able to overcome, I guess, what could have been a nasty uphill battle for them. So if they're able to poach all those employees, their stock's going to go up. I know decentralized AI has been going crazy, like up 20 to 30% per day for the last 3 days in my portfolio on the crypto side. So we're up 100% over the last 4 days on all of our AI stuff. So doing pretty well. So I don't know, kind of crazy news.
It is. A lot of fun to watch, though. So let's jump into looking at the markets. You know, we have a lot going on, and the markets continue to rally. This is, we were looking pretty weak and pretty concerned about a month ago, but here on the Spider, we have really vaulted off of this V bottom that you see here. And, the V bottom is essentially, it's a V bottom. Okay. And off we go. The real concerns here, though, technically, are these gaps. Okay. So you see, this gap here, you see this gap right above it. You see this gap right here. Okay. Usually the Spider and other indexes don't like big gaps like this. They will eventually fill them. Now, I'm not, there's a saying out there that gaps always fill, and I'm not a big follower of that because of timing. You don't know when. Okay, the big question is when. It could be days, it could be months, it could be years before gaps fill. However, it is really because of this vertical move that we have here that is the concern. The angle of ascent is very concerning. Now, we're at some pretty significant resistance here. All right, so let me clean up my chart a little bit, and I will show you why. Let me just remove that. This area of resistance that we are at right now comes off of and my chart will fill in here in just a second as it does. In fact, let me change this timing here. Well, there it is. It came in. You can see here that we're taking it off some pretty significant areas of resistance. Now, we're not at all-time highs yet. That is our next area of resistance. That all-time high believe it or not, is around the 475 to 478 level, which is my year-end target that I put out on the Hub platform. This is what you're looking at right now. There's a section of the Hub platform where we can share ideas and exchange ideas with other traders. And I put an idea out there 2 months ago that we would see 475 by the end of the year. And boy, this market, if it breaks through this level here, I talked about 440, and we not only broke that, if I zoom in on this, you can see we were at 440 for 2 days, and then bang, we gapped up hard and pushed higher. Now testing the 455 level, we break above this, we will see my highs for the end of the year. So, Brandon, before I move into some of these other indexes, what do you think about this?
No,
Does this make you nervous? Or are you excited?
Yeah,
for the bull?
those big gaps. I mean, I've heard other people. Rob, bro, he's been talking about these gaps too, and obviously you mentioned this. The gaps get filled, right? I don't know. I did not see the market doing this into the end of the year. I did not predict this move. I thought maybe a slight bounce, but for it to have bounced already to this point, I just did not see that on my bingo sheet at all. So this is kind of crazy, Jeff. I don't know, man. I still see a pullback coming to fill those gaps, but I don't know, man. With everything going on in the big picture of things and the way the Fed has reacted and other things, this might just still start to keep fading up.
Well, after tomorrow, we really start slowing down on the earnings calendar, which I'll show you here in just a second. Obviously the market's going to be closed on Thursday for Thanksgiving here in the U.S. And, we could see a market maybe start to pull back a little bit, but a significant sell-off to get back down to 440 or even below to fill some of these gaps. You're right. It would need to take a pretty solid move. There needs to be a catalyst to really drive these stocks down. So let me jump over to the NASDAQ here real quick on the Qs. And really, the gap higher that we had last week continues to push the stock higher. I mean, the rally continues, but we see a little bit of resistance up here at this previous high. And I think with some of the earnings that are coming up tomorrow and Wednesday morning, that we will see if the Qs can continue that push higher. All right. Now the lagger here is IWM, and yes, it has responded. I was notably bearish on IWM, and I even had a target back down here around the 160 area. I've still got that trade on because of what the stock is doing right here. Yeah, we gapped up hard, but this one teardrop candle here, we have not been able to rally above that. So even though the S&P and the NASDAQ are rallying, the Russell is lagging once again, and it continues to underperform. So we're going to watch that, and I'm going to keep that bearish trade on for now. Although it's not doing so well now, if the markets reverse, you can bet IWM will probably become the leader on the way down.
So in general, Jeff, obviously it looks like markets are rallying. Everything's going up. We have the S&P going up. And it's a little bit what I didn't expect, kind of like we just talked about. I hadn't expected that to happen into the end of the year, but it is. And that might be good for everybody in the market right now. So with everything going on and earnings kind of dying down, what's happening in earnings this week that you're looking at, or what's kind of like catching your eye in that sector of the world?
Well, believe it or not, there's some big names that are having some earnings this week. In fact, just as we were coming on air today, Zoom had their earnings announcement after market close today. And they were up. Last I saw, they were up about 5%. Could be pushing higher, could be pulling back after that. But that was kind of a key earnings event today, along with Agilent. And then some stocks to watch. Really, tomorrow is going to be a big day. We have, before market open, we have Lowe's, we have Dick's Sporting Goods, we have Kohl's, we have Best Buy, and we have Analog Devices. Now, if you pick up some of those announcements, before market opens tomorrow, a lot of retailers, okay, so you have Dick's, you have Kohl's, you have really Lowe's and Best Buy. Those are all consumer driven. And then you have Analog Devices in the tech sector. After market close tomorrow, you get the big boy NVIDIA having in their earnings result, another retailer, Nordstrom's, and then tech again with Hewlett Packard after market close tomorrow. So 3 big names after tomorrow. And then on Wednesday, before market open, really is the last big name of this week, and that's John Deere. That could be, it's not really necessarily a market mover, but it is a good indicator of where certain segments of the markets are. In fact, for our trade of the week, we are picking out of this list because there is a stock that's really been on quite a run here recently. And that is going to be our stock to watch this week as they have their earnings. And that is NVIDIA. All right. So our trade for this week is going to be NVIDIA. And what I'm doing is I've got a straddle on NVIDIA. And this is kind of a little bit more of an expensive trade. To put on a straddle right now, it is going to be around $38, $39, which in the options world is about $3,800, $3,900. So it's capital intensive. However, this is a $500 stock. Okay. So price wise, this is in line with kind of the estimated move. In fact, it's a little undervalued for where the estimated move of the stock should go. In fact, if we have a 10% move either up or down on NVIDIA, okay, if the stock moves 10% either up or down, we're going to have some big profits, very nice profits on the trade, even though this is a capital intensive trade. So Brandon, we'll be back next Monday to take a look at this because, as I said, NVIDIA has their announcement after market close tomorrow, which would be Tuesday, the 21st, and we'll see those results next week.
Well, and NVIDIA, oh my gosh. Yeah. Always a fun one to trade, always a fun one to watch. Even if you're not playing NVIDIA, lately it's been absolutely blowing everybody's minds, and rightfully so. I mean, just like what we talked about earlier, everybody's needing computational power for artificial intelligence. And the only way right now to get that is through the NVIDIA chips. And so they are leading the pack as far as that goes. So this will be interesting to watch, Jeff.
Yep.
I thank you again, Jeff, for stopping by the channel today. As always, your insight and your trading prowess is above anything else we've seen, and we really appreciate it. And if you guys have not subscribed to the channel, by all means do so with the click of a button below. Go ahead and like this video, and we will see you next week to follow up on Jeff's trade to see how he did and get some more market news from him. We'll see you in the next one.